This is a book I just received today. It's called Escape from Mount Moriah, and it's by Jack Engelhard, a memoir, and it received the award, actually several film awards, official selection of Cannes Film Festival. There's some nice words on the inside describing the book. Praise for Escape from Mount Moriah. I'd like to read a little bit of this. I just received this book today, ordered from Amazon. The refugee stories Engelhard preserves are boyhood memories of an almost Tom Sawyer character, albeit with ironic Yiddish twists, adventurous, humorous, sometimes wonderfully strange. Chris Lefwick, Jewish News, Denver. This book is a winner. To the child in each of us, living eternally. What makes me want to read Engelhard's books is the pleasant environment of his easy-flowing style, which percolates with a subtle sense of joy, possibly the result of his love of writing, surging through every inspired or perfectly chosen word. This is written by author and book critic Linda Shellnut. Jack Engelhard is a writer without peer in the conscience of us all. Novelist John W. Cassell. I'd like to read a little bit also. First, see if I can show this, if you can see it. The print. What I wrote on there. That comment from me. That just is a special treat to have a book, have your words on it, and even in the back cover. But the most special words are inside this book. I'd like to read just the introduction by the author. Here you can see the table of contents here too. My Father Joe is the story, the first story that the film is made from, that's shown on the front here. A clipping of the child that played Jack in the book, although his name in the book is not Jack. His original name, and that you can find out more about in the book. Here we have author's introduction. I'd like to read that because it's pretty special, the inspiration of this book. The first story in this book of 18 childhood memoirs, My Father Joe, has been made into a short film by Canadian filmmaker Nikila Cole. The film has won prestigious film festival awards worldwide and is an official selection Cannes Film Festival 2011. My old friend and editor Dave Appel was the inspiration for this gathering of my memoirs for the writing of this book. Dave, the Philadelphia Inquirer's book editor for many years before he died, was a rarity among editors. He loved writers. More to the point, he loved the written word. Our friendship began at a time when I was writing a 3 times a week op-ed column for the Inquirer. A little bit of background as an aside here on that you can find in Jack's book, The Bathsheba Deadline. Some of that I think is biographical. One day I decided to introduce myself to this legend, a man who knew Hemingway, Steinbeck, and Michener. Dave was the last of that late, great generation. Since I had but one book to my name, The Horseman, I expected a quick hello and goodbye. Instead, I was greeted with warmth and enthusiasm, qualities that endured throughout our friendship. As these things go, we got to talking about his background and then mine, and as incidents of my childhood came to the surface, memories that I had put aside for so long. Finally, one day, Dave said, "Stop talking. I don't want to hear another word. Write. Stop talking it away. You've got to write down this material before it's all gone." So I didn't say another word, and I wrote, but with some resistance. Since I had hastily gotten myself Americanized, I never thought of myself as a Holocaust survivor. Survivors were those who had endured the death camps, and I didn't even think of myself as an immigrant. Immigrants have gold teeth and speak with accents. While I played baseball and joined the Boy Scouts and took girls to the drive-in movies in Cincinnati and later became part of the beat scene in Greenwich Village, who had time to remember or to care. Moreover, when in spurts I finally did quicken to the fact that I indeed was a survivor, an immigrant, the thought of recounting my family's years under Nazi occupation, followed by our successful though terrifying escape, was too daunting. In my apprentice years as a writer, I had tried but always failed to get anything worthwhile down about those events. The wind outside. I was just an infant when all those exploits transpired, and I would have had to undertake much research in order to get the stories right, and I simply could not get up the gumption for that effort. Perhaps because so many writers had already beaten me to the task. The only road still unmarked was this, the trials and triumphs of a kid in a new homeland. The terrain was not well traveled, and so sketch by sketch, I went ahead with this collection, motivated by no greater ambition than to its being a keepsake for my children. And once I got started, I couldn't stop. It all came flooding back. I was in a hurry to get it down, remembering that what Dave Appel had said about putting it on paper before it's all gone. Yes, the children. It's so important for them and for their entire generation to know and to never forget. Their heritage begins with the biblical Abraham, trapped in a godless world, until he was commanded to go forth from your country, and likewise found himself a stranger in a strange land. The children must be reminded that the freedom they enjoy in America, and too often take for granted, comes with the responsibility to appreciate and respect the past. It was mostly for these reasons, that is, to wage against forgetfulness and the terrorism of lies, that the book's publisher, Rob Huberman, also a lover of words, encouraged the publication of this work, persuaded, as he was, that it possesses a universal message. Maybe he was right. Jack Engelhard, June 2011. And so we come to my father, Joe. You want to read this book? I'll just read the first few sentences here. Now we had it good. 6 million never made it out. We escaped France when the Nazis and their gendarmes were beginning their roundup in our district in Toulouse. We walked the Pyrenees, hid in Spain, rested in Portugal, and found refuge in Montreal, Canada. Much later, we moved to America. Amazing how much can be summed up in a single paragraph, and life, as we know, is not lived by the paragraph. Take my word for it that our escape was a tremendous adventure. 2 years of running, evading, 100 close calls in cars, trains, ships, 1,000 moments of doubt, fear, helplessness, and being spooked at every turn by the sights and sounds of Nazi boots. But I won't go into all of that. That's another book, and frankly, it's a story that's already been written by others, even cheapened and trivialized. And to tell the truth, unless you lived it, you'll never know. But maybe I can share with you what it was like being a refugee. I think you'll want to read this book.